let's move on to 11. 11 is a pretty major section. Reporting and assurance. It covers the on-chain footprint of the two main off-chain elements of JAM, and it's how JAM scales. It's, well, everything actually, computation and data. We've seen so far the elements of the on-chain state transition which are relevant for the service that JAM offers, in particular the accounts, right? So we have an idea of accounts, they have code, they have some data, balance. We're now going to take a step down, like quite sort of deep down into the weeds, and see how these accounts, these services, can be progressed. Yeah, it's not something that we've really looked at before. Okay, first we're going to have to deconstruct a work package a little bit. So far I've been a bit hand-wavy in a work package, just said that it's like, yeah, it describes some work that needs to be done, and then it will be done, and that's a work report. In fact, a work package is composed of a bunch of stuff, including work items. Work items are actually the underlying atom of work that is done as far as our JAM as a service is concerned. As far as JAM is concerned for validators, it doesn't actually matter. But as far as JAM is concerned for users, it's all about work items. At the moment, I'm assuming there can be up to about 4 work items in a work package. Work items are transformed from work items into work outputs by executing the code of the service that is associated with the work item. Nothing stops 2 work items, or even all 4 work items in a work package from having the same service. The transformers are validators, either acting as a guarantor or acting as an auditor. Right? This is the job of guarantors and auditors. Well, it's the job of validators, but when they have their guarantor hat on, or when they have their auditor hat on, they're going to do this. I'm not going to go into specifically what they do. That's a separate section. This is talking merely about the on-chain element of it. So essentially the reporting. Right. Now, beyond doing the computation, which is what is happening by a guarantor when they're issuing a guarantee, we also erasure code the work package. We erasure code it in order to ensure that auditors have access to it when they want to, well, when they are supposed to audit the work report. It's no good, having them be available to audit something if they can't get their hands on the thing that they need to audit, right? They need the input data in order to determine whether the output is correct. And we can't very well say it's a decentralized network if there's only 2 nodes, the 2 guarantors, who are capable of producing this work package. We need to be a lot more confident that the work package can be fetched by any auditors that have been called upon or are responsible for auditing the work package, or the work report. So to do so, we basically erasure code it. We split it up into 1 segment for every validator, and we send these segments off to all of the validators. And the validators need to reply essentially via the chain through what's called an assurance extrinsic to say, yeah, I got the fragment, I got the segment, the erasure coded segment, and I'm ready to go in case someone else needs to reconstruct it. This is obviously a lot cheaper than sending the whole work package out to every validator. Yeah? We only need to send out 1/341st of a work package out to every validator. All right. Now, after we get enough assurances, or after there's a timeout, maybe there's some big network failure, maybe both the guarantors lost their network connection or whatever. But after we get enough assurances or a timeout passes, then we consider the work report available. I mean, actually, this is a bit misleading. After we get enough assurances, we consider the work report available unless a timeout, if a timeout happens before then we throw the work report out. Once a work report is available, it leaves row, this piece of state where we're keeping them warm as they get assured, and we accumulate them. Accumulation essentially means folding the work outputs into the state of the service. And this is how a service's state changes. Right. Good. So from the perspective of the work report, the guarantee happens first, yeah, and then the assurance happens. So from the perspective of the work report, they create the guarantee. I mean, they go through the guarantee stage, and then they go through the assurance stage, and then they get accumulated. But the block state works a little bit differently, because a guarantee is you only bother looking at guarantees if the chain isn't already tied up with some previous report, yeah, making some previous work reports package available. So in fact, what we do in order to not waste the whole block is that we first process all of the assurances to get as much of the last block's work out and into the accumulate stage as possible, and then we process the guarantees, because then we hope we'll have lots and lots of free cores that we can move these work reports onto. Yep. It's up to block producers to do this sensibly. So it's up to block producers to basically work out which cores are going to be freed up with the new assurances that are coming in, and therefore schedule place the guarantees in. They're not allowed to put a guarantee into a core that is still tied up with last blocks assuring. Yeah. So yes, validators have to be, block producers have to be a little bit clever on this point. I mean, it's not very clever. Just have to be careful. Right. So in the grey paper, I'm going to do the on-chain order rather than the work package or validator order. So we're going to do the kind of backwards from one perspective. We're going to do the assurances first and then the guarantees. Yes, I thought row might have the double dagger. So this is, I mentioned before, we saw row dagger, which is where the judgments, we kind of throw out the work reports that are invalid, that have had an adverse judgment. Row double dagger is another intermediate state where we, after the assurances have gone out, but before, after the assurances have come in and the work reports have sort of gone out into our pending accumulation queue, but before the guarantors have sort of put more new work reports in.